They may be called the next generation, but they're the church of today. Reach, disciple, and mobilize students to share the hope of the gospel. This is Next Gen on Mission with Shane Pruitt and Paul Wooster.
Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Next Gen on Mission, the podcast. Shane Pruitt here with my co-host in the house.
What's up? This is Paul Wooster. I'm here. I'm excited, man. Where are you at? There's some birds in the background. What's going on, dude?
Yeah, man. Hey, we're doing Next Gen on Mission out in the mission field, podcast in the mission field. So, literally, man, outside today, sitting outside of a Starbucks, had to take my daughter to dance. So we're doing this while sitting outside of a Starbucks. So, man, we got cars in the background. We got people walking in the background, birds chirping. So, man, Next Gen on Mission out in the mission field, bro.
Let's go.
Hey, today we got a dear friend of ours, both Paul and I, Jared Gregory, and Jared is the college pastor at First Baptist Denton. They lead an incredible ministry called Overflow. Man, he's a husband, a father, a follower of Jesus, and literally, man, God is doing incredible things through him in the ministry there to reach college students in the North Texas area. So today we're going to talk about equipping student leaders for ministry. So welcome to the Next Gen on podcast, Next Gen on Mission podcast. Jared Gregory, welcome, my friend. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, glad to be here with you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome, Jared. Hey, before we jump into something super spiritual, before we jump in like that, hey, go ahead and tell us something super fun and unique about yourself that we may not already know.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how fun it is, but pretty unique. It doesn't take long after you've met me to realize I'm abnormally tall. I'm 6'7", and so sometimes, just on phone that definitely doesn't come across. But then when I come in a room, people are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I thought you looked tall when you're up on the stage, but now that you're beside me, like it's worse. Can you please sit down?" So I annoy people with that at times.
Hey, that is hashtag facts right there, because I've had the opportunity by the invite of Jared to speak at their ministry multiple times and be around their ministry. Even last year at Beach Reach, we were around each other a whole week. Jared and I were in a 15-passenger van riding around the beach, witnessing to people, man. It was awesome. And I'm 6'3", and Jared makes me feel like a small, short man, Paul.
Love it, man. Little known fact, UNT is doing pretty well in March Madness. And so Jared actually walked onto the team there and help him out a little bit.
I wish, right?
But yeah, man, that's great. I wanted to start out with one of the more serious questions. We ask all our guests this question. It's really fascinating to hear the different responses. What do we need to know about Generation Z?
Yeah, so I think with Gen Z, like I probably can't speak from a broad perspective. I'm not a great cultural expert by any means, but I can observe what I see in my people, those that I'm around on a pretty regular basis, and I would say, man, they crave authenticity. They genuinely want to make an impact in the church and around the world, and they desire to live with conviction and to the truth of God's word, but they want to see that in you, and they want to see that in others. So, and authenticity is a big one that I see in the students that I work with.
Yeah, I agree, Jared. And man, and talking about the students you work with, one of the things I'm most impressed with your ministry is that it's truly like a collegiate-led ministry, meaning like y'all's small groups are led by college students. The times that I've preached in y'all's events, when we do a response time and college students respond, those counselors working with them and helping them with that spiritual decision are other college students. Man, you'll have the college students lay hands on me and the band praying for us. Like college students are involved from A to Z in that ministry, led by college students under your oversight. So would you share with us about your ministry there and Overflow and how y'all utilize college students for every realm of that ministry?
Yeah, so we're primarily on a couple of big campuses here in North Texas in the city of Denton. We have the University of North Texas and Texas Women's University. Collectively, between those two universities and then a couple other schools, North Central Texas College and some others, there's nearly 50,000, if not exceeding 50,000 college students in this area. And so our ministry is the the church-based collegiate ministry of First Baptist Denton, and man, we're just doing everything we can to reach college students. And we've been blessed by God with some great leaders of the past that have built a very stable ministry that I was able to kind of come into and kind of stand on their shoulders. And we've got a handful of adults, maybe 8 to 10, that really invest in the leadership team. But we have a leadership team of about 50 college students that serve in different areas, whether it's leading Bible studies or leading different what we call serve teams. And we just empower them and trust them, give them opportunity to go out and serve. And man, they're killing it. They're reaching their friends so much better than I could. Like I'm 42 years old. Like college students don't want to hang out with me; they want to hang out with them. So I do everything I can to set them up to be those that are kind of running ahead and setting the pace. And so, man, we turn it over to them and kind of help coach them through it, but give them the space to lead, give them the authority to lead, and give them the platform to really demonstrate that.
Man, that is so solid. I love that it's not a staff-led ministry. It's a truly student-led and even a movement. I saw a video about your ministry. You're talking about the disciple making that was going on. So can you speak a little bit to what's going on among students? The best people to reach students are students. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing happen among students sharing the gospel, but also personally discipling those that they lead to Christ?
Yeah, it really is part of the culture here that they desire to walk alongside each other, to walk with other students. So we do what we can to train them. We don't have a set method that we train for disciple making. We just say, hey, learn how to identify where someone is in their faith and identify next steps. And so you're seeking to grow someone to that next phase of growth in their life and to kind of walk alongside them. But yeah, we're just giving them the permission to be bold and be brave and to walk up to people and have those spiritual conversations, have those gospel conversations that manifest themselves in leading others in disciple making. And so they really have bought in that that's how you change lives. It's not in, at least in our setting, it's not ideally in mass forms of evangelism, but it is in personal evangelism. And so we're not overly event-based as much as we are, man, our students are going out like in our communities, our Bible study groups. We dedicate 1 week of the month to just going and doing evangelism. We call those do weeks. And then another week of the month is meant to be strategic kind of friendship evangelism, inviting people into activity and things that you're already planning. And so, yeah, one is just going out, and the other is seeking to bring others into the community that you already have. And we're just letting students lead out in that, and they're killing it. They're killing it.
That's awesome, Jared. And I love that, man, because you're doing exactly what the heartbeat of this podcast is helping, quote unquote, the next generation realize they are the now generation. They are the church right now. And you're mobilizing college students to be the church now. And so when you're looking for leaders and raising up leaders, maybe there's another college pastor listening to this, or a BCM director, or even a lead pastor, student pastor, to go, yeah, you know what? I want to raise up leaders. I want to give away this ministry to leaders. So what do I look for in a leader? Because we know not all leaders are going to be on the stage, right? That there's a lot of ways to lead. So in your ministry, what do you look for in a leader? And then when you meet a college student for the first time and get to know them, are you able to identify quickly whether they're a leader or not? And if so, would you share that wisdom with us?
Yeah, so actually the first thing I look for is, are they serving? Are they serving their friends somehow? It doesn't necessarily mean it's an official capacity or a role. Like, do they have the heart to serve others? That for me, that is the first and foremost thing. Our leadership comes through the form of servant leadership. We're going to serve the body and serve others. And so that, to me, that's the biggest thing I'm looking for. So sometimes you can kind of see if someone is in that mindset, in that heartbeat or not. And other times it does take a little time to identify that. But we observe for a while. And so we literally just put out our leadership applications this past Tuesday here at the end of March, and we'll make our we'll make our interview process for our leadership team and make those decisions in April. But yeah, I've been watching for since August who are my new students that I may not know as well, that are truly serving others, that are connecting well with others, and that others tend to gravitate towards. It's not always the upfront out there person that students gravitate towards. Sometimes it's the quiet introvert as well, but they connect well relationally with people. And so I'm looking, are they serving well? Are they connecting with others? And do they just have that rapport about them that others, gravitate to them?
Love that. A lot of ministries, you have about the same amount of student leaders that most collegiate ministries across the nation have total in their ministries. And so how do you pour into those leaders? What do you guys do to invest in those leaders so they can turn around and invest in others?
Yeah, honestly, that's one of the hardest parts. That's what keeps me the busiest. So I have a staff of 4. Nobody's full-time, and all of those are students. I'm the only adult, maybe, I guess you could say, but I have an admin assistant and 3 interns. And our primary role is to be the kind of the shepherding arm for the leaders, and for the leaders to be the shepherding arm out into the body. And so we're doing what we can to seek to encourage our leaders, to care for our leaders, to be that one asking them questions. Hey, how are you doing? How can I be praying for you? But yeah, that can be a challenge because the busyness of ministry sets in, and sometimes you forget to do that. But that is our priority, to be the staff that leads the leaders and the leaders that lead the ministry.
Yeah, and that's how you can scale a ministry and grow it. You might go to Overflow, people that are new to it, and look at the massive crowd and just automatically assume, oh, it's kind of shallow. But 2 Timothy 2:2, spiritual multiplication, man, it really works. What you've heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust the faithful men who will be able to teach others also. And that sounds like exactly what you guys are doing, is pouring into leaders who will pour into others, who will pour into others. So it can be really healthy, no matter how large it grows.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I didn't say earlier, and I just kind of took it for granted, but in our leadership application process, we are asking every student, we're interviewing every new leader, and we are asking them to share the gospel. Like, what are the key elements that you would share if you're sharing the gospel with somebody? So I don't want somebody to think, oh, we're only looking for service and for connecting. No, you've got to be able to share the gospel. You've got to understand how to articulate a gospel conversation. And yeah, they're doing a phenomenal job at that, and they just have a heartbeat to share that with others, and that does trickle down. They are passing that on to the next generation. They're coming behind them, and our juniors and seniors are leading so well with our sophomore and freshmen that they're like, hey, how do I take the next step in my engagement and my involvement with this ministry?
Yeah, a lot of the college ministries, the collegiate ministries I've noticed across the nation, they actually have trouble keeping their juniors and seniors fully engaged as leaders. Are you running into that issue? And if not, like, how are you keeping those juniors and seniors and super seniors engaged as leaders, passing it down?
So I think what we've kind of understood is that the bulk of the highly active leaders, they do tend to be our sophomores, and that the older a student gets, the more they kind of move towards that shepherding role. And so we've got positions on our leadership team that are maybe more geared for older students to kind of lead sub teams that their experience comes into play. And so they may not have to be here, every week or whatever. They've got a lot of complex assignments and things going on that they can work towards, but they help us pour into other leaders, because we know that those that are running and gunning tend to be our second semester freshmen and our sophomores. Man, they're so excited to be here, just pumped to be a part, and yeah, they're super busy here, which is we love. It's great.
That's awesome, Jared. And man, I feel like you're one of the best at this, of mobilizing the next generation to be the church of the day. And like we mentioned earlier, really the heart behind the Next Gen on Mission podcast is that we help the next generation realize they're the now generation, not just the future of the church, but they are the church right now, that they have the calling of God on their life now, the Great Commission on their life now, to be the church now. So, Jared, would you give us one thought on this and one practical next step?
Yeah. So from a pastoral end, I guess I would say, one of the biggest hurdles for me to overcome was I've got to be okay with my crowd getting smaller, so that they can go across. And I say across because our college ministry on Sunday mornings meets in a building that's kind of separate from the main church, just right across the parking lot. But we do everything we can to say, I love that you're here, but I don't want you to stay here. I want you to go over there. I want you to go serve in the kids ministry, serve in the preschool ministry, drive a golf cart. We've got a great music school here at UNT. Go serve on the praise team. And I try to beat that drum as frequently as I can. Get out of here and go serve over there. Because if they connect to the body, they're more likely to be retained either at our church or some other church. They're going to look for a church to engage into when they move, wherever it is that God sends them, if we can get them connected and see that they have a strategic role now. And so I had to get over that. Hey, I don't want a big crowd on Sunday morning. I want to send a big crowd on Sunday morning over to the rest of the church. And then I'll say for the student, maybe that's looking for an opportunity, be faithful in the opportunity that you're given. Be faithful, be prepared, because you show up unprepared a few times to lead something, and you start losing trust real quick, and you start having some of those opportunities for leadership and for teaching and for development kind of pulled out from under you because you weren't faithful to prepare. And so I would say, man, do the work, like be faithful to the role that you've been given, and invest well in that. And when you do, and you do things well, and you do things as excellent as you can, man, adults are going to appreciate that, and they're going to give you more opportunity. And so yeah, be prepared and don't take those things for granted, because the minute you do, some of that stuff's going to be pulled out from underneath you.
Dude, Jared, that is solid gold, man. I pray those that are listening heard what he just said about sending to go serve the parking lot team, the greeting ministry, the praise team, the children's ministry, student ministry, because I say this all the time, especially with collegiate leaders and student pastors that are listening. If we operate our ministries like a church within a church, then when those students graduate, for lack of a better term, out of our ministry, we lose so many of them because when they quote unquote go to big church, they feel like they're joining a new church where they don't understand the vision. They don't have any relationships. They don't know the leader. So, Jared, what you're talking about is a way to help fix, I think, our transitional problems where we have a hard time retaining people through those transitions. Man, I love that.
Yeah. People ask me on occasion what our college ministry's vision statement is, and I point them to the church's vision statement. Like, we don't have a college ministry vision statement. Our church has a vision, and we're a part of our church. Therefore, our church's vision is our vision. People changing lives through Jesus Christ. That's our vision.
Yes, so awesome. The local church, because they're going to be there for the rest of their life, and we want to funnel them straight in and help them fall in love with the church. Thank you so much for your time, Jared.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're on TikTok and Snapchat and MySpace and all that stuff. So, but seriously, how can people connect with you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah. So I am on social media at Jared B. Gregory. Real easy to find. I don't really do mine quite as much as I do the ministries stuff. And so another way to find us would be at Overflow Denton on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's the best place to find me and to find what we have going on here in Denton.
Yeah, and I really want to encourage all those who are listening, be sure to go follow Jared and go follow Overflow Denton. You will be encouraged by what God is doing through college students. Jared, thank you so much for your time, man. I knew it'd be rich. I'm so thankful for your friendship. Paul and I are so thankful for how you're reaching and mobilizing college students to be the church of today. So thank you so much for your time, my friend. Hey, thank you also for listening to the Next Gen on Mission podcast. If this podcast is a blessing to you, be sure to give it a rating, share it with others, make this resource known to all of those in your ministry and your circle of influence. And if you have any questions on reaching the next generation, please email us at evangelism@nam.net. We'll try to address those on a future podcast. And listen, friends, have a great rest of your day and tell somebody about Jesus.